A while back, I finally started working on my clone of a Marshall Model 1987 50-watt amplifier that needed some maintenance and repair. The tone always seemed a bit mushy to me, and it didn't quite have the Marshall sizzle I was looking for. I ended up installing a new power transformer to try to get a little more voltage to the power tubes in hopes that it'll give me the classic Marshall tone I was looking for. It did help, but it still wasn't quite right. I mentioned in a previous video that I had replaced the turret board in this amplifier at some point, and I realized that the layout that I had followed didn't have a bright cap on the high treble input. Could this be what my Marshall clone was lacking all this time? Perhaps I figured that since I always played my Marshall with almost all the controls on 10, that the bright cap wouldn't really have any effect, so why even install one? I watched a video from Psionic Audio where he demonstrated not only the effect of the bright cap, but also the effect of bright cap values on the tone. This inspired me to reinstall the classic 4700 picofarad bright cap in my amp. So I've got the 50 watt Marshall back on the shelf for what I hope is going to be the last time. I'm going to take the back panel off, take out the chassis, and then I'll be installing this push-pull bright switch. This will pull the bright cap in and out of the circuit. Right now I don't have a bright cap in it, and rather than decide to put one back in or leave it like this and try to sell it this way, this gives you the best of both worlds. Just pull on this shaft, and now it's in the circuit. Push it in, and now it's out of the circuit. So pretty simple and effective. We'll see how it works out. All right, I pulled the output tubes, got the chassis upside down, and I'm now going to remove this, the old 1 meg potentiometer from the high treble channel, and replace it with the switched potentiometer. I got the potentiometer installed. The shaft was a little bit longer, and this poked out quite a bit, which normally wouldn't be too bad, but then as you pull it, it'd pop out a lot. So I did cut the shaft a little bit more to match the existing potentiometers. I'm going to start by pre-tinning my terminals. Then we'll touch the ground wire. Then I'm going to pre-tin the terminals on the switch. The bright cap I'm using, I believe, is the original from the original amplifier. It is a 4700 picofarad. Got a secure mechanical connection. Next, I need to take a piece of wire and to go from this up to where the input comes in. Okay, last of all, I've got the wire in place. That'll act as the jumper for the bright cap when the switch is engaged. And now it's just a matter of putting my input, soldering that in, and this mod will be complete. Okay, got some good mechanical retention. Excellent. Okay, gonna do a little quick test just to make sure that this switch is working. So right now the switch is not engaged. If I measure between the input and the output on the high treble channel, I'm getting 0.38 nanofarads. And if I pull and go to those same 2 points, 5.5. So that's a little bit higher than the 4700 picofarads, but capacitors often read high, so that's not a problem. Now the next step would be to test this. Now I have the Marshall model 1987 50-watt amplifier running into a 4x12 cabinet loaded with 3 Celestion Vintage 30s and a single Celestion M65 Creamback. I'm using the 16 ohm input on the cabinet with the Marshall set to a 16 ohm output. I have a Shure SM57 pointing a little offset off the dust cap on the M65 Creamback. I'm going to be playing some power chords that may be noticeable, but hopefully not to YouTube's nanny bots. This worked pretty well in my last video, so hopefully it works again. I'll be playing a 2000s Les Paul Standard with burst bucker pickups into the high treble channel of the 1987, starting at channel volume of 1 and moving up to a volume of 10. For each volume level, I'll be playing the riff once with the bright cap off, and once with the bright cap on. I'll show a graphic of both volume level and bright cap status on the screen. I'll do 2 runs, the first with the bass, middle, and treble controls all at 10, the second with the tone controls set to 5, but the presence still at 10. Here goes. I really like the change that this made to my 50 watt Marshall. I can finally get the bite and sizzle I was looking for. Of course, if you want a little more low end, you can always jump the channels and use the normal channel volume to bring some of that bass response in, which is what I do. This really changed the amp for the better, and I really enjoy playing it more now.